What up, y'all? DCFAYGOGUY. Today is the day that Dark Lotus came out back in 2001. Tales from the Lotus Pod. It was then re-released a year later, revised with the original member Mars removed, ABK replaced, all of those verses, and the revised Dark Lotus came out in 2002. I'm not sure exactly when the revised came out, but I do know that the original Dark Lotus did drop in 2001 on this day. I do not have the original version. I don't really plan on picking up the original version. Maybe if I find it for a good deal, I will. Regardless, we're going to use this as the date to review Tales from the Lotus Pod. So let's jump right into this. Absolutely fucking great album. Many people will quote this as their favorite album, their favorite Dark Lotus album. Not this one per se. A lot of people actually prefer the original. I actually do prefer the revised for a couple reasons. One, the only song I had heard of the original Dark Lotus crew was Juggalo Family. Now that version I do like better than the one that's on here, just basically because the biggest turnoff in this one is when ABK says until eternity. It just, to me, that doesn't make much sense. They should have said for all eternity. It might have sounded better, flowed a little better, but I don't know. I like the Mars version better of that song. And that's probably how it is for a lot of people. They've heard the original one first versus this one. I actually heard this album, this version right here first before I ever listened to Mars. You know, knowing the story of why Mars was ever brought on and then why he was, you know, removed and ABK replaced him. Knowing all of that was ultimately why I preferred this version. And kind of on top of that, I think this looks the best. I think the gold cross and the gold lettering looks better than the red. So those are just a few of the reasons that I prefer this version over that version. But I've come to a point where I agree to respect why people prefer the original because of, you know, obviously certain situations that we're not going to waste time on talking about in this review. So let's jump right into it. Fucking beautiful. You can just barely make out it says Tales from the Lotus Pod here in the background. We flip it over, absolutely nothing on the back. We open her up, sweet fucking pyramid on a black disc, very dark, and then you have Gazing into the Netherworld, a self-endued seance. I am not going to read that to you. I will hold it here. If you guys feel like pausing it, you can read through this if you would like. But I've toyed with the idea of doing this, but I don't think I'm brave enough. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I'm quite brave enough. So, but it's dark, man. Pull it out. Pyramids. Flip it over. You have hieroglyphs. I always thought that this would be a sweet place, you know. I've never really wanted to get autographs on like CD covers or album covers, but this is an area where you could easily get some fucking autographs of all the Dark Lotus members. You know, assuming that Dark Lotus ever reforms. But that is all there is to the actual CD art itself. Now you're probably wondering, what the fuck's the tracks? What's my favorite tracks? So I'm going to try to do my best to go purely off memory here. I do happen to have my phone here, and I actually happen to have Tales from the Lotus Pod on my phone. But I'm going to go my best off of memory. We have Intro, Alibaba, Hurt Myself, Cripple and Rape Me. No, Something. It's called Something. Yeah, see, I'm doing horrible. We're just going to pull the phone out, guys. Okay? You have Intro, Alibaba, Something, Hurt Myself, Call Upon Your Gods, And We Danced, Black Magic, Gimme That Blood, Headache, Bad Rep, Bitch I'm Sexy, Swarm, I Wanna Die, Black Crows, Juggalo Family, and .com. .com I never ever listened to all the way through. I don't think I've made it halfway through. I get what they were doing with it. It's something I just never listened to. Absolute favorite tracks. I mean, I love the whole fucking album. I can listen to the album front to back, other than, you know, .com, which I usually don't even have on my iPod or my phone. I usually just keep it off. But absolute standout favorite tracks, if I'm going to pick favorites, because it's such a great fucking album. If I'm going to pick favorites, Alibaba, Call Upon Your Gods, Give Me That Blood, Headache. Headache is probably easily in my top 5 favorite psychopathic songs. You know, when I hear the name Dark Lotus, the beginning of Headache is the first thing I hear, just because it's so fucking dark. Black Crows, very good song. I Wanna Die, absolutely fucking love it. Swarm is great. Obviously, Juggalo Family is a standout track. Did I already say Black Crows? If I didn't say Black Crows, great fucking track. It's just a really great album. If you have never, ever heard Dark Lotus, Tales from the Lotus Pod, it's time to climb out from that fucking rock you're under and give it a goddamn listen. Because this is why so many people were upset when Dark Lotus split. And a lot of people, you know, this was the show that they were supposed to do when it was announced that it wasn't happening. And a lot of people were let down. Such a great album. 5 out of 5. Probably the only album, one of the few albums that will ever receive that ranking. Great album. If you haven't heard it, if you haven't picked it up, go do it. You'll thank me later. Anyways, that is my review. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.